have access to all that is. You have access to know all things. It is already yours. It is already yours, this access. So much of what we do through the vessel and also through her own wisdom in your interchange with us in this Judah family is to give you wisdom and discernment about the difference between what the ego is saying and doing and how it operates, and how your soul, your divinity, your connected part, the part of you that is plugged into source energy and angels and ascended masters, to distinguish the difference between those two. The ego is full of tricks, full of tricks. It will try one trick in its bag, and if you catch on to it and become aware of it, it will simply switch to a different one. Hi, Judah Nation. Welcome to Sunday Night Live with Judah. And I'm Angie Hipple. Then my sweetheart Chuck is here. And we're really glad that you're here. Let's begin with a channel from Judah. And after that, we will keep on keeping on with our beautiful night together. We've got lots of fun things to do. Hello, Judah Nation all around the world. Yes, I have been interacting. We have been interacting with you all around the globe all week long, actively a part of your lives, listening to your request, your concerns, what's important to you, also to your thanks. Yes. And we as angels are very active in your day-to-day life and experience to the degree that you invite us in. There are even angels, many angels in the cosmos that simply don't have enough to do. You can employ them and put them to work on your behalf. You might have an affinity for us or some other angels that you have developed a relationship for, or you may be new, as is said, new to the game, and you may not feel that you know a particular angel well enough to elicit their support or assistance. You can simply say, angels of the Most High, please help. Yes, and make your request. We are all operating in high service to the one infinite creator. It is not necessary to identify us by name or by a singular or collective identity, but you may if you'd prefer. Yes? Now, let's begin. Let's begin digging in. So begin by dropping down into your heart space, my dears. Open your mind, open your heart. Relax. Relax your fears, worries, concerns. Relax in this moment. You are in a safe location. Yes. And so receive, 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 receive. Understand that what we share with you likely refer to as love or joy or vibrancy. But what we bring is an energy that is beyond words. And so every time we use words through this vessel or any other means of communication, there is the likelihood that our words will be misconstrued to some degree, misapplied, misinterpreted, because words are a tool, a mechanism of the mind. And we love to work in conjunction with your mind. When we speak in this way, we're not speaking in this way in order to demean your mind, the capacity, the possibilities of your mind, or to make it out as if your mind is a villain or a bad guy. It is just that the mind can give you a lot of trouble when it is not been brought into submission of the soul. And so we will say what we will say. Some of you will hear it on a soul level without filters of the mind, without filters of conditioning, without filters of egoic perspectives. And for you, you will hear a message that is beyond words. You will feel it as an energy. You will feel it as a freedom. You will feel it as a release and an upliftment. Yes. For others of you, the words may be more laden with memories of experience and your own definitions as handed to you by your life experience. And so there will be perhaps more challenge to extract the goodness of what we say. But that is okay. Keep coming around, and allow yourself whenever possible to receive these messages in a quieted, meditated, meditative, open, and relaxed state in order that more of the energy and less of the words can persist in you. Now, this vessel is going to be speaking to you about knowing the all, living from a state of knowingness. We will begin. You can know the all. You are part of the all. You are a fractal of all. You are a mirror reflection of all. You are an aspect. You are a ray of the sun. Yes? If the sun is emanating light, there can be millions upon millions of rays of light emanating from the sun. And the rays of light emanating from the sun are as much photons of light, the essence of light, as is the sun itself. You have access to all that is. You have access to know all things. You have it. It is already yours. It is already yours, this access. So much of what we do through the vessel and also through her own wisdom in your interchange with us in this Judah family is to give you wisdom and discernment about the difference between what the ego is saying and doing and how it operates, and how your soul, your divinity, your connected part, the part of you that is plugged into source energy and angels and ascended masters, to distinguish the difference between those two. Yes? When you have this understanding, you can begin to recognize when the ego is operating in you and in others and in society. Yes? And when you recognize it, then you have a chance to be free of its tricks. Yes? The ego is full of tricks, It will try one trick in its bag, and if you catch on to it and become aware of it, it will simply switch to a different one. Yes? And then try again. Yes. And all of these tricks cause you to feel disturbed inside, disturbed in your thoughts, disturbed in your emotions, disturbed in your physical being, your health, and so on. Now, as you continue listening on this channel, you will become privy to these tricks. You will identify them in yourself and others, and the awareness is key. Awareness is key. Just being aware, oh, there's the ego. I see it. I see it in the way I'm operating in this moment. That is far more than half the battle. In fact, the battle is nearly won. If you can laugh at it, the battle will be over. Yes? And so we will continue in this journey, and this vessel will continue drawing this distinction, this contrast for you. And in it, then you will begin to also feel into the moments when you are being fully connected with your higher self, operating from the level of soul, operating from high state of knowing and being connected with infinite intelligence. And in this, when you have the joy of these moments, then you can begin to expand the moments. You can say, oh, I see now. Oh, yes, I'm experiencing. This is what it feels like. This is me. This is the real me. This is me connected to source. This is the divine me. Yes, I see what this feels like. And this begins to rewrite your experience. And the more this happens to you, the more easily you can then enter into this state. Now, meditation is a primary state in which you begin to discover who you really are. And of course, the ego is going to do everything it can to disrupt you. Yes, it will kick and scream like a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum when you sit down to meditate. And so you may even feel like you're moving in the wrong direction or regressing because you sit down to meditate, and it will seem as if your mind is becoming even more active than it was before you began. So don't fret. Don't fret for a moment. This is simply the ego throwing its little temper tantrum. Let it do what it does. Simply observe it and don't be concerned about it. Keep showing up, and eventually you will master your mind. Don't say, it's not for me, I can't do it. This is hogwash. Absolutely, you can do it. It is a learnable skill, just like driving or riding a bicycle. You can certainly learn how to do it. So keep at it, and your ego, the ego, will lose, and you will begin to experience your high self. States of peace, states of bliss, states of clarity, states of decisiveness. We will tell you this vessel anytime a decision needs to be made, the mind, of course, for all of you, the ego mind will worry about things. This is like sitting in a rocking chair. You can rock and rock and rock and rock in a rocking chair, and it will take you nowhere. Absolutely take you nowhere. And this is the way of worry, you see, and thought and overthinking. And so the big lie of the ego mind is, the know-it-all mind is, keep thinking and eventually you'll figure it out. Well, this is not so. But this vessel, when faced with the decision, rather than thinking about it, she will simply meditate. And many times, once she awakens from a deep meditation, she will then simply know the answer. So how do you know when you're a know-it-all? We are speaking of a know-it-all tonight as an egoic way of operating, or when you're knowing the all, when you're in a state of beingness, of knowing and being connected to source. How do you know the difference? When you are a know-it-all, you are not open to information. You are not receptive because you think you have the information. Yes? But when you are knowing the all, you are open to all things. You welcome all ideas, concepts, information, energies. You are open. You are open. When you are operating as a know-it-all, driven by the ego, then you have an air of superiority about you, thinking that you have all the answers. But when you are connected to knowing the all, your knowing is a deep sense of peace that is accompanied by the humility of surrender. Yes, good. Okay, there is more to be said. We will recede just a little, but not much, and allow the vessel to use her voice and continue on with this. And we love you. We give you our thanks for your high service in the world. Thank you. Lovely. All right. So great introduction. Thank you, Judah. So tonight we're going to be contrasting, as Judah said, the ego's way of being a know-it-all and the way of our higher self, our soul, which is knowing the all and experiencing a deep, peaceful sense of knowing, which comes from being connected to infinite intelligence and all the knowledge of the universe. So let's talk a little bit about, we're going to go back and forth between these two, being a know-it-all. Okay, so we're raised in this world as little children that our parents or our caregivers are the ones that know it all, right? They are the ones that have the information, and because they have the information and the experience, they have the power. And so as infants and as little children, then we experience ourselves as not knowing enough. And so we can experience ourselves from an egoic standpoint as being helpless or disempowered, right? Whereas the truth of spirit is more closely that when we come into the world as infants, we are in a pure, innocent state, very much connected to the one infinite creator and to all the insight that we need. And unfortunately, through conditioning, we can get talked out of that state of being. So there's only 3 roles as a human. I'm not talking about from the perspective of the soul, but more as the personality. There are only 3 roles, and they are adult, parent, and child. So if you watch your relationships really carefully, what you'll find is no matter who you're interacting with, you are either acting as an adult, and that perspective, acting as an adult, is your higher self, your soul, your wise old soul, acting as one who's responsible and capable. So you're either acting as the adult or you're acting as a parent, meaning that your positionality is that you know more than the other people you're interacting with. They are less than, you are more than, you have more information or more power than them. Or the third role that we can play in relationships, even when we're grown-ups, is the role of child. Okay, and so many times we will switch between these 3 roles. We can, in a moment, be acting as a sentient, conscious adult in charge of ourselves, taking responsibility of ourselves. Someone could say or do something that will trigger us to act out in an egoic manner, in which then we think we take authority over someone else and are acting as the know-it-all. Or we may feel disempowered and feel childlike, feel less than, like we're not in the know, like we're helpless or victimized even. So in the know-it-all world of the ego, in our culture, someone's over and someone is under. Someone has authority, someone is disempowered. Someone is the parent or authority figure, and someone is the underling or the victim. And this is the victim villain stories that are so pervasive in our entertainment, in our culture, and also in our life, right? Anytime that we are in a victim villain story, whether we're playing the victim or we're playing the villain, then we know that we're playing an ego game and we're getting caught up in tricks of the ego. So the truth is, if you're an adult, which you obviously are, if you're listening to this, there might be a few children out there listening, but if you're an adult, you are never a victim. Okay, there are times where there are crimes committed against an adult, of course, and you could be a victim. But what I'm saying is then outside of that frame of reference of a literal physical crime against you in which you're victimized, you are the creator of your reality. See? Yes, we are the creators of our reality. And we've talked about this a lot. This is a really hard truth to buy into, but true nevertheless. Yeah. So in the ego realm of being a know-it-all, the ego has two sides of the coin. It's either superior, being a know-it-all, or inferior, being less than, being the child, being the victim, being the underling. So what you'll find a lot of times when you sense you're aware the egos at play here, I'm playing the one who's in charge here. And as you become aware of that and you want to shift it, sometimes the ego will then, as Judah said earlier, get another trick out of its bag, which is to then make you feel inferior or less than. So we can flip back and forth between those two, being superior and then inferior. Yeah. And so you'll find, especially if you're in a relationship with somebody that's super narcissistic, they're in power and in charge all the time, right? And when that starts to crack a little bit, that mode of operation, then they may switch to the inverse, which is being very inferior and childlike. So when we're operating in the ego, there's a force or resistance in it. And the force is pushing outward. It's outwardly focused, externally focused. Whereas when we are in our state, our high state, an enlightened state, as an adult, as a mature spiritual person taking responsibility for themselves, then we are in a state of power, and sometimes even supernatural power, where when we walk in this knowing state consistently and we're in touch with who we are as a sentient, conscious, wise adult, we can even bring in so much power that we can bring supernatural miracles for ourselves and others. So this knowing the all state is inward focused rather than externally focused. And this inward focus, the power, the supernatural life force energy literally is accumulating inside of our being. And then we are emanating this white light, life force, God energy from our being, but we're inwardly focused. So when we are operating the ego, we're outwardly focused on what needs to be different, what we need more of, what we need less of from others, what others are doing, what others are thinking. That's the ego trick. But when we're in our state of knowing as an enlightened person, we're inward focused and we are literally drawing into our being. We are emanating this life force energy. In the know the all world of spirit, we understand that we are a mirror for others and they are a mirror for us. We are one human family. Whatever interaction we're having with others, we know it's showing something about ourselves, or we're showing them something about themselves, and we're in it together. Now, the ego, because of this know-it-all mode of operation, or this superior and inferior dynamic, is caught up in things like classism, racism, the haves and the have-nots. And this can even apply to our spiritual circles and religious circles. I remember one time being a part of a team of prayer warriors in the church that I was in. We were called intercessors or prayer warriors. And we were a team of adults. And we would be assigned to pray for different events and situations, and assigned in different aspects of the location or whatever. And I remember one time a leader saying, well, you don't have it. I asked about being placed in a certain realm of certain location to pray, and they said, well, you don't have it. And I thought, well, what is it? What is it that I don't have? So even in that little team, right, there were the haves and the have-nots. We're more spiritual than you. You're less spiritual than us. We know and you don't. So this is all ego stuff. And if you're ever in a situation, I was working with a really precious woman recently who is working with like a high profile spiritual leader that's done a lot of cool things in her lifetime. But as she works with this person, she's being relegated into this feeling of being less than and not enough. And that's just not love. That's not love, right? So the ego is a know-it-all. It says, I know more than you, and so I can fix you, and you're not okay, and I can't feel okay until you are okay. So the ego is always trying to fix other people, and this is the insecurity underneath it is that flip side to the coin is that the ego wants to fix others because then it can feel okay about its own inner disturbance. Yeah. So it's a way of deflecting the pain in the self, the hurt in the self, by being busy with other people's business. So in knowing the all and being connected to the all and perceiving everyone as our family, our human family, we see one another as equals and partners in this game of life and in learning. And so there's a belief or a principle, I will say, rather than a belief, underlying that everyone has their own magic and their own divinity, right? And so when I'm working with you, if I'm connected with the all, I understand that you have the magic inside of you, and you will find it. And more when I have sessions with you guys that you guys book. Sometimes people come to sessions and they want to hear Judah make a pronouncement on a certain thing, such as, Judah, please tell me if I'm supposed to be with my partner. I've been with them 10 years and I'm just having doubts. I don't know if I should be with them anymore. Is this the right person for me? Is this my soulmate? And they want to hear Judah tell them what to do. Well, Judah's just never going to do that because that's for you to do. And so more and more, what we spend that time with then is I help you to go into your own channeling state. What is a channeling state? A channeling state is simply communing with your higher self, communing with source, communing with angels and ascended masters. It is allowing your consciousness to merge in with those beautiful consciousnesses of angels and source and the ascended masters. So in those sessions, I like to spend that time teaching you how to do that for yourself so that you can get the answer about whether you're to go or stay from your higher self, from source, from your angels. Yes, because you know what? I don't have to live your life. I could tell you what I think you should do. Judah could tell you, but no one has to live with the consequences of your choices but you, only you. And so if Judah or I tell you what you should do, guess what? If it goes well for you and everything works out based on what Judah or I say, then we've only succeeded in making you dependent on us. And that's not cool. But if Judah and I tell you what we think you should do and it doesn't work out, in fact, it goes really, really badly for whatever reason, then guess what? Then you can blame us. And you still haven't learned how to take responsibility for yourself. So we all have to work on this together as a spiritual family, learning to trust ourselves. Yeah. So one of the reasons why we talk about this so much, contrasting ego with the higher self and with your superconscious, is so that you can begin to trust yourself. One of the things that happens with an awakening is we wake up to the fact, oh my gosh, I've bought into all the BS. Now I don't know what's true anymore. And so that can have an effect for a while that we just don't trust our own intuition or insight because we wake up to the fact that we've been so deceived. The goal is to work towards beginning to trust your intuition, trust your gut, and learn and grow and know that you can have access to the information you need. So one of the ways that you can do this is by learning muscle testing. In the course, our True You Accelerator course, we have a week in which you learn about muscle testing. It's not an easy skill. It takes time. Some of you might use pendulums as well. I prefer muscle testing because it's cash and carry, as they say. It's always right by my side. I can use it any time of the night or day. I can use it in any circumstance, and the person that I'm with won't even realize that I'm doing it. And it's a great way to begin to, even the process of learning it can help you develop some intuition and trust in your own ability. And like I said, it's challenging to learn, but if you stick with it, you'll eventually get good at it. And why is this important, this muscle testing or kinesiology? Well, because your body knows the truth. That's what you learn when you do kinesiology. You learn that your body knows the truth. So the mind is full of fear lies and fear stories, and the mind can just get you all wrangled up in things. But if you listen to your body will always tell you the truth. You might have a decision to make, and let's say you can mentally and intellectually go through all the pros and cons of both sides of, or all the possible options of your decision. But when you think of a certain option and you feel a knot in your gut, and it makes you feel sick, pay attention to that. So the ego is a know-it-all, and it wants us to project our insights and lessons onto others. The ego thinks, well, it happened for me this way, so surely it's going to happen for you the same way. And this helped me, so this has to be definitely what you need. And so the ego gets us caught up in giving unsolicited advice to people. And when we give unsolicited advice to people, it comes across as insult. It's only going to provoke their ego. So when people ask us for help, yeah, we should always share whatever we have to give. And that's one of the reasons why the sessions that I do with you guys, the one-on-ones, are so productive, because you come in with this open-heartedness and willingness to learn. And so Judah meets that with so much wisdom and insight. But on a day-to-day basis, when we're working with average person that we're relating with in our family or our workplace, we have to learn that we've learned so many lessons, and where we are in our level of consciousness may be very different from where someone else is. And just because we learned a certain lesson in a certain way, they may or may not be ready to receive it. Now, if they ask us, then we can certainly share our experience, right? And so many of you are finding that as your level of consciousness is being consistently elevated, and you're meditating more and you're emanating more of this white light energy, which expresses itself. White light energy is kind of this, weird woo-woo term, but basically, as you are bringing in more of this white light energy into your body, the way it manifests practically is that you're more loving, more peaceful, more centered, more joyful, more positive. And people are attracted to that, just like bugs are attracted to a bug light that you hang on your back porch, right? So people are attracted to that, and they will naturally begin to ask for your wisdom and assistance. And when they ask, give it boldly, give it honestly, and give it with as much authority and power as you have. When we're operating from that state, from that more enlightened state, there's no burden in what we share. We share, and people can receive it or trash it, and it doesn't offend us. We don't care. There's no burden in the helping. It's an unburdened state of assisting and serving others. When the ego is in operation as a know-it-all, it feels a burden to fix people, to save people, to make sure they know the truth, to save them from what they are going to do to themselves. And so the ego operates in this kind of a rescue savior mentality, right? Whereas knowing the all and being in a state of knowingness is effortless, right? And whatever is going on, good, bad, or indifferent, in that state of knowing, you're okay. You're okay. So in your state of knowing, life is perfect. What everyone else is experiencing is perfect for them. Even if it's dark, even if it seems heinous or hard for us to stomach, what some people are going through. It's literally on the level of the soul, the perfect path for them. Here's an example. Not too long ago, Chuck and I were pulling into town, and we pulled up to a light, and there was a gentleman sleeping on the sidewalk at the light. It was a beautiful sunny day. And my mind, the ego mind, looked at him and immediately wanted to go to a feeling of pity. But when I looked at him closely, he was sound asleep and he had this beautiful smile on his face. Listen, that guy had not a care in the world, not a care in the world. Who knows? Maybe he's happier than the billionaire in his 10,000 square foot house that's stressed out and doing drugs, and his relationships have gone to pot. I mean, who knows, right? So we have to be careful not to judge in our mind people's experiences. This I learned so well from Chuck. He reminds me this all the time. So the ego will tell you that you should have a certain feeling about a certain thing. The ego says, you should feel sad about that man lying on the concrete because you believe you should. Well, see, there's a belief system there that makes me believe I should feel sad about that, but it's egoic in nature. So the ego as a know-it-all, underneath all this pride of knowing best for everybody else, what's underneath that is a lot of fear and a lot of insecurity. And underneath that is the belief that life is scary, it's full of unknowns, and I need to control it. And you would let me control it if you knew what was best for you. That's what's underneath all of that. But when we are in a state of deep knowing, then we see life as perfectly imperfect, as the perfect setup for the expansion of our soul, for the realization of the self, for discovering who we really are. And in our knowing state, we resist nothing. So the ego always will use this know-it-all role to keep us separate from others. Yeah. So I know more than you. I have a higher vibration than you. I'm further along in my journey than you. So I'm going to hold myself separate from you. See the separateness there. But when we know the all, when we're in our enlightened state, we come close. We come close. We don't need to be separate. We feel relaxed. Nothing is urgent. We don't need to run from anyone. We don't need to fight anyone. We don't need to justify, argue, defend, or explain our position to anyone because we're tapped in. Yeah. When we're acting in the ego, we feel anxious and we feel compelled to take an action. So whenever we recognize, as Judah was saying earlier, a lot of this talk is to help you discern what state of being you're in. If it's the ego conditioning is in operation, which is always based on fear, or your higher self is in operation, which is centered in love and peace and wisdom. And so one of the things you can do is when you feel anxious and you feel compelled to take an action, feel that resistance in you, that push to do something, and just resist it and do nothing. Do nothing, do nothing, do nothing, do nothing until you are back in your centered high self state. Then when it's time to take an action, take your action from a complete state of clarity and peace. So put off the action until there's clarity and peace. Clarity and peace. Okay. The ego always, as a know-it-all, wants to be right. But in our high state of knowingness, we don't need anything from anyone. We're just centered in peace. And when we're in that state, we don't need to take sides because all sides are of one. Yeah. And so the ego always judges what's happening so it can decide which side to identify with and which side to separate itself from. And the ego will choose whichever side serves the self best in the moment, and it will join that team. And this is why Judah, as we know, is on a soapbox about political affiliations. Yeah, I'm not saying not to vote. I'm saying you don't have to affiliate with either party because it's all separateness and ego, division, strife, wrangling, judging. That's all it is, folks. It's so obvious, isn't it? If our families at their core nuclear level were acting like the red and blue party, we would likely be signing up for divorce. Right? Okay. Knowing the all. When we're in this state of knowing, anything we're saying or doing, any action that we might be taking is from that center place. It serves everyone. It serves everyone. Yeah? Judah loves all people, everywhere, all the time. There's nothing that you can do or not do, nothing you could fail to do that would cause Judah to not love you. You're loved no matter what. Okay? So when we are in our high enlightened state, we love all people all the time, no matter what. And whatever we do is in service to all, not at the expense of another. Not at the expense, not serving one at the expense of the other. And when we are in this state of knowingness, there are no strings attached. Okay? It's not, I will love you if, and I will love you when you do X, Y, and Z, or stop doing X, Y, and Z. It's not that. It's just, I love you. Some tips on knowing. Okay, tips on knowing. A mantra. I have access to all wisdom and insight. I already have it. I have access to all wisdom and insight. I already have it. One more time. I have access to all wisdom and insight. I already have it. Now, when you feel stuck, maybe you know that the ego is operating and you just have no clarity, you're confused, you're upset inside, you can't see the way forward. Understand that angels share their insight willingly. They are our big brothers and sisters. They have high wisdom for us. All we have to do is ask, angels, please help me. Please give me a sign. Take baby steps towards trusting your own intuition. And if you get it wrong, don't worry about it. Forgive yourself and try again. Don't sideline your intuition just because you're channeling. There have been times when I have been channeling that there was an interior part that hijacks the channeling. So how do you discern that? Because it's not coming from love, because it's untrue or based on some sort of fear or need to control. So you always have to be discerning, even when just because you're channeling or listening to a channeler doesn't mean everything that's coming forth is accurate or important for you. You have to use discernment. Learning how to muscle test, the body never lies. And keep meditating, because as you meditate, you will eventually begin to come into this knowing state. The knowing state is expansive, it's broad, it's easy, it's effortless. The know-it-all ego state is contracted and anxious. Yogananda said this: a real teacher possesses more than book knowledge. And in a spiritual life, it is necessary to learn spiritual wisdom from such a teacher. One who knows and knows that he knows because he is experienced and not merely read about a truth. Okay. So what Yogananda is saying there is find your teacher, whoever that is. It might be Judah. It might be somebody else. Find your teacher, the one that you know is expanding you by changing your life, by you are adopting inner wisdom and you feel it beginning to change you. And find this teacher is the one who knows that he knows that he knows what he knows because he has experienced it, or she has experienced it, and not really merely read about it. Think for a moment how many preachers there were in pulpits this morning preaching from the Bible about Jesus raising the dead, but not a single one of them has ever raised the dead. Think about it. So if we are going to find spiritual teachers, we want to find teachers that have mastered or are in a process of mastering what they share and having experienced it. Okay, a couple of last things while we're winding down. I wanted to share about Dear Jess had a great story from Australia. She's in our Judah Treats program, and she's just for a few weeks been using the Financial Abundance Judah Treats audio, which is an audio that helps you to work through subconscious beliefs and blocks to abundance. And in that meditation towards the end, there's one where we do a magnetization for attracting your dream job or your dream business. So she's been doing this just a few weeks. And guess what? This week in her email box was an invitation for an internship for her dream job. And I've known Jess for a couple of years now. She's done our True You Accelerator course, and finances has been a big sticking place for her. She's a young mother with 4 kids, and as many of us have that have young kids and a stay-at-home partner, it can be a struggle to make ends meet. So this is a major manifestation for her. So we're all celebrating her. Keep sending in your miracle stories. They happen every week. I get them, and I apologize because sometimes I forget to bring them and read them to you guys, but I just wanted to celebrate that one. So if you're struggling with finances, you can do Judah Treats for $1 for the first 2 weeks. And then after that, it's a $27 a month. But if you can't afford that $27 a month, don't worry about it. Do it for $1 for 2 weeks and then cancel it. And while you're in there for those 2 weeks, work hard at it. You can download them onto your device so that you have them forever, okay? And use that financial abundance audio to set yourself free, right? And there's some of you out there that you want to do the Judah Treats just because you want to bless the Judah family. And maybe you don't even need it for some of the areas that the audios are about, but you just want to give back something. And so that's how we're all growing towards that, right? As a family, that we can invest our dollars with conscious people. We want to bring more consciousness to the world. Now, the Judah family we have some opportunities to do some conscious media coming up, and we are meditating, listening to Judah, making decisions about that. But I want to share on a personal note that conscious media is so important. It can literally change the world. It is literally changing the world. And there is so much darkness in entertainment and in news. And we deserve, as high consciousness enlightened people in an awakening and enlightened journey, we deserve the very best quality of conscious media, and not just teaching such as this, but also entertainment, right? Because we need some time to just unplug and hang out and watch a good spiritual movie that makes us laugh and grows our soul. So whenever you can, give a little bit to conscious media like Next Level Soul and those guys. Chuck and I were with Alex Ferrari of Next Level Soul and his beautiful wife this week, and we got to see their brand new studio, which is absolutely amazing. And we recorded a third interview for Next Level Soul in the studio. It's the first of its kind in Alex's studio. So Judah actually got to grace that beautiful new studio with their love and their energy and their blessing as the first channel message that came forth in that studio. It'll be coming out sometime in the future. I won't tell you what happened in the interview because it's freaking amazing, and I don't want to spoil it for you. You know, if you're a part of the Next Level Soul family as well, throw in $5 a month. I think they've got a new thing that you can subscribe to their YouTube for like $6 a month. So let's start giving up maybe a coffee or something, right? To show our love and appreciation and support to people like Alex that are changing the world. We can and we are. We can and we are changing the consciousness of the entire planet through this media. All right, we love you guys. Have a wonderful week. Create your own life. Create a great, amazing week for yourself. Love you. See you next week. Hello, beloved. Angie Hipple here from the Judah channel. Have you ever made this mistake that I'm embarrassed to say I've made on more than one occasion? The new year rolls around and I have this sinking feeling, I did it again. There's a mountain of debt from all the holiday excitement for meaningless things that somehow in the moment you thought were going to make you and your friends and family feel more loved, more treasured, perhaps feeling that it would add something to your joy. Perhaps the new year brought a sense of emptiness and loneliness, even though you've just spent some precious time with friends and family. Or maybe there was this gnawing sense of dissatisfaction and emptiness from all the meaningless stuff that you gave and exchanged as gifts. I remember as a young mom, before the holidays, I would clean out my kids' toy chest, which was brimming over with stuff, to make room for all the new stuff that I was getting ready to purchase for them for Christmas. And guess what was in the toy box? All the stuff that I bought the year before that they played with for a day or two or a couple of weeks, and then they threw it in the toy chest and never played with it again. Insanity, right? right? Well, this year, let's do something different, both you and I together. Let's stop wasting our time, energy, attention, and money on meaningless things that don't really add to who we are and don't really add the true joy, the soul joy of our loved ones. Let's stop this crazy mad cycle. Let's do something different. Are you sick of making meaningless New Year's promises to yourself? Are you tired of acquiescing the true you to people, places, things, holiday traditions that really don't add to your soul? Are you ready to take back your power and be your truest, youest self in the new year? Are you ready to make 2025 your year for complete, total transformation? On the inside, Judah teaches us that in any moment we can reinvent ourselves, we can reinvent our life. We can ask angels to clear away what's not working for us, what's meaningless, what's weighing us down, the things that when we get to the other side of eternity and we look back, the things that we will know really didn't matter. Angels are constantly present to lift us up into our destiny, to clear away what we're not so we can be who we really are. And you might say, Angie, I don't even have any clue about who I really am or what I could really be. Well, we're offering you a journey to discover the true you, to be it, to become it, to experience your divinity, the fullness of all the beauty that you are. We're going to come together and you and I, we're going to train your subconscious mind how to heal yourself from all the stuff that's holding you back. And we're going to uncover the beauty of the true you. You have the potential, the possibility to be completely connected to your higher self and your angel guides this year in 2025. And Judah and I are here to help you. There is no karma, there is no circumstance, there is no false belief system, and there's no disease that can hold you back, that can prevent you from becoming the true you if you decide and you commit. Let's make this holiday season different. Make it different by investing in you, not in the superficial little ego self, not in what your mind tells you that you are, but the real you, your divine, perfect, angelically connected and supported self. Today's the day. Take back your time. Take back your energy. Take back your attention. Take back your dollars from things that are keeping you small. This is your time. This is the year for you to expand. Invest in what's going to lift and expand your soul. Join us for the Journey of the True You Accelerator course. 12 weeks beginning in January. In the Journey of the True You, you are going to have lifetime access to this seminal course, the core of everything we do in the Judah channel. The True You Accelerator course is our seminal course. This course takes you from where you are in your awakening and enlightenment journey all the way through to enlightenment. It calibrates very high on the Hawkins map between 550 and 850. I have yet to speak to anyone who has taken this course that hasn't begun a vital, transformative relationship with their own personal team of angels and guides. The folks who take this course begin channeling, and the messages that they receive are amazing. I mean, really, you guys are going to put me out of business. It's great. You're going to have lifetime access to the True You Accelerator course. You will have access to Judah treats for the entire duration of the course. You'll also receive 12 two-hour live classes a week where Judah and I are going to mentor you, answer your questions, help you through your own personal journey, your challenges or stuck places. And you'll get to meet beautiful friends that are high vibe, high flying, just like you all around the world. You're going to make lifetime friends in this course. You'll receive a digital copy of the first book of Judah, the answer to all your questions. And there's going to be other surprises along the way. Any reasonable pay plan will be accepted. We really want you to be a part. Think about it. Meditate on it. Follow your heart. If it's a no, great. If it's a yes, great. And we hope you'll feel a big inner yes to joining us for the journey of the true you. I can't wait to see the truest you as you on the other side of this course.